All right, today we're diving into a really cool framework from Quest for Totality called timeline navigation. It's all about digging into the mechanics of the reality you're living in and figuring out how to go from being a passenger to actually piloting your own life. Now, this isn't about wishful thinking. It's about understanding the engine that's running the whole show. So, you ready to grab the wheel?
So, the very first question this whole idea forces you to ask is well, it's pretty simple, but it's deep. Are you consciously choosing the life you're living right now, or did you kind of just drift into it? Are you the one drawing the blueprints for your reality, or are you just along for the ride?
And this is a big one. It might even sting a little. The source material is super clear on this. Just being fed up, wanting a change, or being sick and tired of your situation, that's not actually enough to make anything different happen. There's a much deeper mechanical thing going on that we need to get a handle on. And here's the core issue, right? A lot of us think we're out here actively creating our future. But if we're honest, we're mostly just drifting along in a current that's already set. We keep repeating the same patterns, and surprise, surprise, we end up in the same old places. So how do you break out of that drift? Well, the key is understanding what creates that current to begin with. And that brings us to this idea of your timeline signature. Okay, so let's break this down. What in the world is a timeline signature? The easiest way to think about it is like a personal frequency that you're constantly broadcasting out into the world. And that frequency, it isn't just a metaphor. It's the actual energetic blueprint that determines the kind of reality you're able to tune into. So first, we kind of have to update our whole idea of what a timeline even is. It's not this single straight line from A to B. It's way more like a weather system, right? Like a big cloud of potential outcomes that all share a similar vibe, a similar climate. And what creates that climate? Your dominant internal state. And that's exactly where your signature comes into play. It's that unique mix of all your internal programming, your thoughts, your feelings, your habits, that tunes your radio dial to one of those probability clouds we just talked about. Your signature is literally what creates your trajectory and locks you in. So what is this thing actually made of? Well, it's a mix of a few key ingredients. You've got your core beliefs, for sure, but it's also your default emotional state, your go-to feeling. It's how aware you are of your senses, the thought loops that play on repeat in your head, and this is a big one, the tiny, seemingly meaningless choices you make every single day. And this slide just nails why saying affirmations in the mirror doesn't always cut it. See, you can tell yourself, I will be disciplined 1,000 times a day. But if your signature, your actual pattern of choices is one of no discipline, the signature is going to win every single time. You can't just talk over your reality. You have to change the underlying frequency with real shifts in your state and your actions. So if just thinking positive thoughts isn't the whole answer, what is? Okay, this is where we get into the good stuff, the practical side. We're about to walk through the 4 core mechanisms you can actually use to change your signature and start navigating to a new timeline. Here it is. This is your toolkit. Number 1 is trajectory awareness. That means being brutally, radically honest about where your current habits are taking you. Number 2, energetic pressure points. This is learning to spot those key moments where life gives you a choice, repeat the old loop, or do something new. Third, narrative reconstruction. You got to consciously rewrite the story you tell yourself about yourself. And finally, number 4, choice scaling. This is the discipline of upgrading those tiny daily choices because you know they add up to create huge change over time. And what's so cool is that when you actually start putting these 4 things into practice, stuff begins to shift. And I don't mean in some abstract, theoretical way. It's a real mechanical change. Let's look at a super clear example of how this actually works. This chart makes it so obvious. Okay, imagine someone who's stuck in a cycle of chaotic relationships. Their problem signature on the left is made of things like self-neglect, no boundaries, and that quiet little story of, I can't do any better. Now, to shift to a timeline where healthy relationships are possible, they have to build a new signature. That means creating a new identity based on self-respect, setting real boundaries, and taking new actions that line up with that new identity. The takeaway is huge. Your outside world doesn't change until your inside signature changes first. And honestly, this right here might be the golden rule of this entire framework. Real change isn't about running away from a life you hate. It's about outgrowing it. It's that moment when your new internal identity, your new signature, becomes so solid that your old life, your old habits, your old friends, they just don't fit anymore.
they literally become incompatible with who you are now. So, with all that said, let's bring it all home. Let's make this personal for you. Because this isn't just some interesting theory to think about, it's a really powerful tool you can use for some serious self reflection. And just remember, this has nothing to do with daydreaming about some fantasy life. This is about training yourself to have a precise awareness of your internal world and your daily actions. It's about truly getting that you are the cause and your reality is the effect. It's about becoming a skilled navigator. So, I'm going to leave you with this one really potent question from the source material. It's one to ask yourself in private and to answer with total honesty. Here it is. What timeline am I sustaining through my daily behavior that I would never consciously choose? Just sitting with that question, answering it for real, that can be the first step that changes everything. Thanks for tuning in.